Rebic, Rafa, tira, gol! Rafael Leao! Oggi segna Leao! La mia giornata è iniziata così!
Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of the SempreMilan podcast. I'm your host, Ollie Fisher, joined once again by Anthony Talgrood.
What's up, guys? Glad to be back. 2 weeks in a row where we don't have Madison. We kind of insulted him a lot for it last week, but it was actually his birthday, and that's why he wasn't here. And this week he has another good excuse, which I'm sure he'll talk about later. But he is actually going to be featured on this podcast for a good chunk because he did an interview with Presidente from Milan Club Montreal, and they are doing a FIFA tournament with Milan Foundation. So we're going to put that interview in right now. Enjoy, and then the rest of the pod will be right after.
We are here with Presidente of Milan Club Montreal, and they are doing their yearly FIFA tournament.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me. It's a great pleasure to be with you.
Of course, it's like once a year around this time we normally talk, so it's due.
Yes,
but why don't
yes.
you go ahead and tell us about it? You guys made some changes this year, and it's going to be quite large.
Yeah, so basically we're trying to double the tournament in size. So last year what we did is we had a 64 team bracket tournament, March Madness style. And in order to ensure everyone gets to play, we limited the participation to one representative per Milan club or blog or other media. So you had one representative. And it was all done manually in terms of the background to manage the bracket and all that other stuff. We had set up something on Discord, and it was very complex. So we got to do something better this year because there was a lot of headaches. And luckily, Milan has a great partner, Clash, and whoever never heard of them before, they're the group that manages the esports for Milan.
Okay.
So, I don't know if anyone know, I'm sure you've heard of this, but in case no one knows about it, there's also the Serie A for esports. And each Serie A club has a representative participate in this tournament, except for the three teams that don't play or are sponsored by EA Sports. They're sponsored by I don't know what's it called, that other one. There's a competitor to EA Sports, FIFA.
PES or something.
PES, yeah, something like that. So I don't want to talk too much about them. They're a competitor to Milan, so I'm trying to stick to the main Milan sponsors. So they're not in, but the rest of the clubs are. So what they do in Serie A is have this tournament, and they don't have a season like the club does. They divided the teams in three groups. They did a group stage, and they have a winner bracket and a loser bracket. So I think the top three in the group advance to the winner bracket. The fourth team in the group goes to the loser bracket, and I think the fifth or sixth in the tournament, they're eliminated.
Okay.
So it's a double elimination thing. So I got to learn about this last year, and then in talking with the people of Clash, I explained a bit of the difficulties we had managing all this, and they were so nice and supportive. They said, look, we already have an app. It generates the bracket. You communicate to your opponent through the app. You just basically are there in case of some technical issue or problem or conflict to resolve it. Otherwise, you don't have to do anything. I'm like, wow, that's great. I love that. So I got to learn about this app, and that's what we decided to do. So now, because you could even have 256 people if you want in the tournament.
Okay.
So there's no limit. So we're like, let's expand it. So basically, what we change is there's no longer a limit of one person per Milan club. If, for example, my Milan club, Boston, New York, Toronto, whichever one had a few players that wanted to participate, by all means, the more the merrier. So as long as each player makes a donation, because we're doing a fundraiser. So I would love to do it for free, but because we're doing a fundraiser, we need to help out Fondazione Milan. So we're asking for everyone to make a donation. And basically, every player can play. So it's happened before. We did have interest of other clubs that would have liked to have more than one representative. At that time, I didn't have the infrastructure or the background support to say, wow, we're going to make this a massive event. But now with the technology, it's there. So thanks to the people of Clash. So not only did they give us the opportunity to use their software, so everyone downloads the app, the winner of the tournament will also play against Diego Campagnani, who is Milan's esports player. And he's the professional, and that's all he does. He's a professional player. So whoever wins this tournament will get to play against him like they did last year.
Nice.
So that's one of the prizes. Then the winner will also get the away kit of this season, which has the Fondazione Milan written in the back. So that's another prize that the winner will get. The second place finisher, or the runner-up, who loses in the final, will get the AC Milan edition of the FIFA game, which will be autographed by Theo Hernandez. So it'll be a nice souvenir to keep as well. And you have the Milan logo in the front of the PS4 game. And the third prize is the esports T-shirt. They have their own jersey with the AQM logo, which is a play on ACM, like AC Milan. Well, they put the Q for Clash, so it's AQM. And that's the uniform that the esports guys wear when they represent Milan at these tournaments.
And so is this only PS4 or is this PS5 as well?
It's only PS4.
Okay.
However, if you have a PS5 and you bought the Ultimate Edition of the game, which costs a little more than the regular version, then you can also play. It allows you to play against PS4 players, but you have to pay extra for it, which is kind of silly if you think about it.
Yeah.
Why would you charge someone extra to have the ability to play with someone that's using the older console? I find it ridiculous. And also, if you allow me to do a little rant here, it's 2022 and cross-platform still doesn't exist for EA Sports games, which is...
It's starting next year.
I know, but what's taking so long? It's really, really... So, I have my kids, they're Fortnite addicted. They love playing it. You can play on PC, PS4, Xbox, on your mobile. And it's fun because you don't care which console the person has. They get on and play. So I'm glad to hear this thing, but I want to see to believe it, because it's easy to say they're going to do it, but then I want to actually, because it's going to help us out a lot, because now we've lost participants because they have the PS5 and they didn't want to pay more for the Ultimate Edition, which I understand. I wouldn't pay either to have it, just to have what? I don't know what else you get with this Ultimate Edition.
Probably some FIFA Ultimate Team packs or something.
Yeah, whatever. So I know a lot of people I've spoken to don't have it. They just have the regular version of the game.
I think I still have it on PS4. I hope I do, because I thought it was PS5. So if we'll have to double check that. But how many people do you guys have signed up so far?
So far, we're at, last time I checked, we're at 22. Okay. And we still have a ways to go. But like last year, it took a while. We had to remind people. Like, we do a lot of posting on social media. We had a few emails sent out. And then
we'll post the link in the
yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. So, so anyway, next year, if they do this change, it will help, because there's not everyone that got a chance to get a PS5. And then a lot of people still had the PS4, but we did lose a few players that only had the PS5. And we had other people say, oh, why don't you do an Xbox tournament? I'm like, well, we went with the majority, and the majority did have a PS4. So we did like a little survey 2 years ago before we did that first event.
Okay.
So if they do this cross-platform, now, is it cross-platform PS4, PS5 that you heard, or
I think
cross-platform?
it's everything.
Okay, that would be fantastic.
Yeah, for sure.
Then we open the opportunity to other people as well.
Yeah.
So glad to hear that.
Last year you guys raised money for youth soccer in Milan, right?
Yeah, it was actually in Napoli. They had
Okay.
like a little soccer camp, and each registration provided, I forget, it's either 1 week or 2 weeks of activities where the kids could go play, and they had basically you're paying for the animator to be there to keep an eye on the kids.
So
they
we're
participate.
supporting. Hopefully, Napoli doesn't find any stars there.
Right, yeah. But these
Yeah.
are, they're underprivileged
Yeah.
families that can't afford to have their kids go and participate in these things. And the idea was to get them off the streets. So if they're doing a sport and they're playing, then it would be something beneficial. Now, this year, because with everything going on in Ukraine, Fondazione Milan decided to raise some money to send to the Italian Red Cross. And they asked us with the FIFA tournament to participate in that charity event. They want to raise 100,000 euros to send to the Italian Red Cross, and whatever we collect from our tournament will go directly there.
Very nice. It's very exciting. It starts next Friday, right? Or next Thursday?
Well, we had to delay it a week because we had an issue with the registration process where even though we told people when you go on the site, make sure you put that you're making a donation for the FIFA tournament.
Okay.
A few people didn't do that. They just made the donation. Now we had to track back and say, well, who's donating to play the FIFA tournament? Who just made a donation? Then they don't want to play. So now they changed, they made a different landing page. So we updated our links. And this way here, whoever goes on that link, we know for sure they only went there to register for the FIFA tournament. So to give us a bit more time to track back the other people that joined in just to follow up, we extended it a week. So the tournament's going to start April 8th. But we want the registrations done by... Sorry?
So I still have 2 weeks to sign up.
Yeah, so I'm like, do I bother saying it? And then people are always last minute, right? So it's because for it to go smooth, we need the bracket to be done properly and reach 128, and then everything flows easily.
Mm-hmm. Well, if you're still give me a bye to the final, that'd be fantastic.
Sorry?
So if you just want to give me a bye to the final, just
right. Yeah, no, I'll try. Yeah, that would be.
Normally, I'm out in the first round.
Have you been practicing?
No.
I've
been playing Grand Theft Auto. So I should probably start practicing.
Yeah. So now another change compared to last year that we introduced, again, thanks to the flexibility of this app and the technology behind it, is the double elimination.
Okay.
So last year, you did your 2 games, the winner advanced on aggregate, and the loser is out. Now, if you lose, you go in the loser bracket, and you get a chance to redeem yourself. So you keep playing till you got eliminated twice. So
I'm guaranteed 4 games then.
You're guaranteed 4 games now instead of 2. Correct.
And are we still streaming it on Twitch?
Yeah, we encourage everyone to stream it. So anybody that wants to watch and follow, they can do it. We don't force them to. I know there's been times where people either they were thinking their internet connection wasn't good or whatever, they didn't bother. But we strongly encourage everyone to stream it. So at least people can watch if they want to. And you want to encourage your followers too, right? Especially when it comes to a Milan club. They have one of their players representing them, and they want their members to watch. So it'll be a good way to get them, involved and cheer on their player by going on Twitch. So yeah, we strongly encourage everyone to stream it.
Awesome. Is there anything else you want people to know about the tournament?
Yeah, the last thing I wanted to mention was, so you make the donation, The top 3 get a chance to win a prize. And just like last year, we're also going to do a raffle. So your donation will give you a chance to win some other prizes. We're in the process of accumulating them. There'll be quite a few of them this year. So it's not money like, it's for a good cause. Like I'm encouraging people just to donate because you want to help out. You shouldn't be donating because you want to win something. But to give an incentive, we still have a few prizes. So one of them is this, what I'm wearing. It's the Fondazione. I don't know if you could see it.
Yeah.
It says Fondazione Milan. So these are the new hoodies of this year, and I'll show you in the back. There's a message. You see it?
Yep. Sport changes life. From Milan to the world.
This will be one of the prizes that are going to be part of the raffle that you can win. Then in addition to this, we're going to have some Casa Milan gift cards. I don't know. I'm trying to get 2 or 3 of them so you can use it to shop online on Milan store. There's something else we're working on. It's still not official, so I can't announce it, but we're one of Milan's partners to give us something else to offer as a prize. And the other thing we had, I think there's going to be a T-shirt or 2 of Milan. And Milan Club World is also offering a T-shirt. They have a whole bunch of, I don't know if you ever saw it before. There's like a T-shirts of all the different Milan clubs, and there's also other designs. So the person who wins that prize can choose whichever T-shirt they want.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're going to promote it. We're going to wait for the tournament to start, finalize all the other things we're going to get as prizes. And then once we're ready to announce them, then we can sell virtual raffle tickets. So the people that wanted to make a donation and help the cause but weren't FIFA players will probably just sell for like, I don't know, €5, let's say, for a virtual ticket. And you get a chance to win one of these prizes.
Nice. Maybe I can get Emirates to donate 2 first-class tickets from Detroit to Milan.
Yeah, that would be amazing. Yeah, I agree. Well, them at their level, I mean, it's got to be something heavy duty in terms of exposure. So with our limited exposure, I don't think they could justify the business case.
No.
But you never know, right? Like if this event comes out bigger and bigger, that would be the ideal, to grow it every year. A lot of people
this
that
is
played
the third time, right?
Yeah, so the first time we did it, it was 32 participants, and we just did it for fun. It was right in the pandemic. Everyone was stuck at home, and a lot of people wanted to participate because there was nothing else to do. So the second year, we're like, why don't we do something good for the charity at the same time? And with the feedback we got was great, and everyone, like you, but you were one of the first. Hey, when's it going on? When are we gonna play? When are we gonna play? So and we were working on it in the background. So we're like, we still see there's an interest. So we're like, why don't we do it? Now we just need to get the people to sign up. So now's the last push till April 5th, because then after we have to generate a bracket. We got to get everyone to go download the app. You got to register. Then you got to communicate with your opponent. So there's a lot of background stuff that needs to be done. And that's why we need a few days before launching the tournament to make sure everything's done. And we want to get as many people as possible to join in. And as I said earlier, doesn't matter if you have 10 members in your Milan club that want to participate, no problem. Everyone go register, make your donation. You don't have to be a pro and playing FIFA. You just, it's for fun. You're playing against fellow Milan fans all over the world. Like we literally had players from everywhere. Australia, Indonesia, South Korea, in Europe, North America, every major city, we had someone that was participating. We had people from Mexico. We had someone from Brazil. Everywhere, really united everyone from all over the world. So there's no limitation. And some people actually told me by playing, they made some new friends, and they keep in touch once in a while. And we had 2 people that actually met up at the Duomo before a Milan match, thanks to the fact that they made a connection playing on FIFA. So it's really cool. That was the part that really, apart from raising money for the foundation of Milan, it was nice to hear. It makes you feel good about, this initiative to get the fans to connect in that way.
It's definitely cool to be able to bring the community together and just to share one
Exactly.
and we all love the club. So
Yeah, exactly. That's the most important part. Forza Milan sempre.
Forza Milan.
Yes, so thank you to the Presidente for taking time out to talk through the tournament. It's going to be another fantastic event. Hopefully we make it a bit further this time than what we did last time. But Maddie's going up as our rep, so never know, do we?
Yeah,
but no,
fingers crossed.
another fantastic initiative, raising money for a great cause. So can't wait to see that get going.
Great
Speaking
guy. The only Presidente in Milan, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, the original and the best. Yeah.
Yep.
Speaking of getting going, though, we are back in action after the international break on Monday night. We're recording this on Monday, so it's 1 week today until we play, which is a little bit strange. We're the last game of the weekend in Serie A. That might cause a stir. The fact that I've called it a weekend, but we'll dodge
Monday's
that.
Midweek.
But yeah, we've got Bologna at San Siro. Feels like, let's say in previous match days, we've had the chance to put the pressure on the teams in and around us in the Scudetto fight. Whereas in the last game, we needed to respond to Napoli's win and then Inter's draw by taking care of business away from home, and we did that. And this time we play after those as well, so the pressure should, in theory, again be on us to go out there and do the business. Inter have got Juve, Napoli have got Atalanta. It might be a really big opportunity for us, who knows? Or Inter and Napoli could both win to lump the pressure on us. It's Bologna at home. Always an added subplot to the game when it's Sinisa Mihailovic coming back, and just want to preface it by saying that we obviously wish him all the very best in his new cycle of cancer treatment. The cancer has returned, which is obviously gutting and devastating to hear. But I liked his comment where he came out and said it's brave to come back for a second go. I liked that. He's a man who will obviously fight it with everything that he's got, and just got to hope that this second time it's successful in killing it off for good. So best wishes to go to Miha, still held in very high regard by a lot of Milan fans, and for a good reason. Some good memories while he was the head coach, but he comes back as an opponent this time. Bologna, a bit of a funny season for them so far. I think it would be fair to say. They basically established themselves as a top half side in the first half of the season. Didn't really drop below the midway point in the table by a couple of weeks. But since then, it's not really gone great. They've only won one game in 2022. They've only scored more than one goal in one game since early December, and that one win was the 2-1 victory against Spezia that they had. So they're struggling a little bit. I won't go so far as to say they're sliding into a relegation battle, because they've probably got too many points on the board already at this stage. But we've really got to be taking care of business here.
Yeah, I mean that sums it up. I think we beat them 4-2 in the reverse. They've won one game since New Year's. They're just they're not a great side anymore. And to be honest, I think playing last it benefits us. You mentioned it puts the pressure on us, but I think this is weirdly a situation where there's next to no pressure. I mean, Inter's playing Juventus. Whoever wins that isn't touching first place. We have enough of a gap. Napoli play Atalanta. That's a tough game. If they come out with a win, then they do temporarily take first. So I guess there's a little bit of pressure there, but I mean the only difference between us and Napoli now is goal difference, and it's not even a large margin. They have 4 goals more than us. So this might be the game where we just put 4 past them and neutralize that difference there anyway. So I'm not worried about this, but 8 games to go. The season's tight, so you definitely can't let up. You got to take every game like it is a final. And yeah, don't hold back. Score as much as we can and keep going the whole way. But I don't think this will be a tough game. I think we might see Zlatan from the start. because he's finally had enough time to heal up. I would imagine he's probably fit now. He got called up for Sweden. He obviously didn't play, but I think it would be good to see him. And this is the game to give Giroud that break. I mean, Giroud scored actually in an international for France with the tail assist. So maybe we do start him again. He's obviously still in good form.
Yeah, that will be a decision to make, definitely. Giroud's been the home goal scorer and Ibra's been the away goal scorer this season. That's just kind of the way that it's been. Literally has just been a press conference, basically, from the Swedish national team coach, Jan Andersson, who says Ibra's still not fit enough to start a game yet. So whether that will then influence our decision come Monday, I don't know. My guess is that we'll lean on Giroud again, not just because of the home form thing, but I think Ibra was out a lot longer than was initially expected. So I think he's going to need maybe 10 minutes, then 20, then 30, just to keep getting that rhythm back into his legs. And
do we think he starts a game then from here till the end of the season?
Well, probably, but you can't rule it out either, because what if there's a further setback, or what if Giroud just keeps going with his decisive streak? Then you could argue that you don't just change it for the sake of it.
I would say this is kind of, and sorry to get off topic with Bologna here, but it's kind of a telltale sign that we might be at the end of Zlatan's career here. I know the renewal talks are ongoing. He wants to go out with either the World Cup or with a title or the Scudetto, but I mean, this is the longest recovery period for what really wasn't a big injury, and he keeps getting injured every time he does start a game, and now he can't play more than 10 minutes for what, 5-6 weeks in a row now. I mean, that's troublesome. So I think we might be at the end of his storied and incredible career, but I think this might be it for him.
Big influencing factor in that for me will be what the result is tomorrow. If Sweden get dumped out by Poland, then I really think that this is his last season. If not, then he's going to squeeze everything he can out of his playing career to try and get and he will be in the World Cup squad for Qatar, providing that they qualify. That could literally be the deciding game. And I know that as Milan fans, first and foremost, that doesn't sit 100% with me. He should want to play for us because he wants to play for us. It shouldn't be because of some bigger thing, but at the same time, he has had that kind of career where he will be looking for that one last big major tournament in the limelight, and he will want to play more Champions League minutes next season and to potentially win a trophy this season, and if not next season with us, and that'll be the way that he wants to go out. So I respect it in that sense. I think, Sweden-Poland is a massive game to determine what happens with Ibra's future. Just Bologna's threats before we give a prediction. They seem to have switched. They were a 4-2-3-1 team all of last season, pretty much, and part of this season. Mihailovic likes that system, and it would have been a matchup for us because obviously we play the same, and I think we will play the same this time around. Although whether Brahim starts, Kessie starts, not sure. Kessie will be playing both games across the international break, including one tomorrow against England in a friendly. So whether that has any bearing, I don't know.
But he's already signed that agreement with Barca, so that's official, unofficial.
Pretty much, yeah. They won't announce it.
Yeah, but he had his medical, and I think Fab gave it the here we go. So that's that's done.
I'm at peace with that now. Of course, there's still a bit of underlying anger and frustration at the way that things panned out. But I'm at peace with the way that this is going to go now. We know he's leaving. We know he's going to give his all between now and the end of the season to try and make sure that he ends his time at Milan with a proper trophy. And then he will go on his way. I mean, I don't really think he owes us much. He gave his interview in the summer, which in hindsight, as a 24-year-old, he's still learning he's younger than me. That's mad. He's still learning quite a lot. And would he have given that interview in hindsight? Will he regret that? Probably yes. And that's what's angering fans. You shouldn't say something like that and not stick to your word. But he's going. We'll get a replacement. We'll move on. And it's just going to be his mission between now and the end of May to make sure that he has a trophy to lift. And then I think we can send him on his way a bit more amicably.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it comes down to. We know players are going to leave. That's the nature of the business, nature of the sport. Win as much as you can while they're there.
Yeah, and do you know what? Over his 5 years, we'll look back on it and say that I don't think for more than half his time has he been really at the levels that we saw last season. You know, he actually struggled for quite a lot of those 5 years and perhaps wasn't a central part of our project. I mean, there were talks about swapping him with Matthias Vecino at one point. Like, that's how low his stock had gone. But over the last 18 months, maybe not as much this season. You know, he's been more up and down. Perhaps his future was in his head and stuff. But last season in particular, he was massive for us in that post-lockdown run as well. Huge. Some monstrous performances in there. So, yeah, that's that. And then, yeah, for Bologna, I guess a couple that we should pick out. Aaron Hickey is a guy who we are apparently monitoring his potential backup left back for next season because Ballatore obviously hasn't convinced, and we'll be probably looking for a younger guy to be Teo's deputy, someone who's a bit more similar in style and can grow. He's having a really good season, Hickey. He's in his second season in Italy. Not easy, given that he was a teenager when he moved from Scotland. He was 18 or 17 when he moved from Hearts to a new country, set up a new life, but he's doing really, really well. You know, he's been pretty much undroppable for them this season, and I think he's got 4 goals in the league, so doing pretty good there. And then the other one is Svanberg. Mattis Svanberg is a midfielder that we've been linked with. And the other threats are pretty much the same guys. I mean, Arnautovic is there, which is kind of mad. I remember when he was being linked with Man United and stuff when he was at West Ham. Orsolini, Gary Medell's still there. We were linked with Arthur Theatre as well, who's the centre back. But yeah, that's the team. Feeling confident?
Yeah. I mean, I think those are all great players in their own. Well, most of them are good players. But you got to look at form. And I know the international break is a time to reset and reevaluate and adjust and all that. But when you've won one game since before Christmas, there's an issue, you know? And yeah, it was a 2-1 victory over Spezia, a team we couldn't beat. But it's a team we did beat until we robbed, you know? So it's not like they're pulling off this incredible upset. 2 goals is the most they've scored in a game in that time frame since their pre-Christmas win. And that was against Spezia. Every other game, it's been goose eggs or it's been 1 goal. In our reverse, it was 4-2. We had an own goal from Zlatan, and I don't remember who else scored for them. But I would imagine now that our defense has gotten significantly better with the rise of Kalulu and his partnership with Tomori, I would be shocked if this isn't another clean sheet. I think this might be the statement. I know I said that last week, the week prior, whenever we played last, but this has got to be the one. If we put 4 past them before and they've only gotten worse since then, we could do it again, especially now when we got the title on the line and something to prove. Yeah. And I really think this is going to be a decisive week for us because I'm confident in Inter's going to drop points to Juventus one way or another. It's either going to be 0-0, 1-1, or win for Juve. I don't see Inter winning that game. And I think we're going to see a draw in Atalanta-Napoli as well, or an Atalanta win. There's just so many Napoli players that are out for that game that, I don't know, it really plays into Atalanta's favor. And fingers crossed, because if that happens and we win, now we're potentially 6 points clear of second place, maybe 5 at worst. Like, we're in such a good spot.
Yeah.
So I'm real confident here. I think we're going to pull it off.
I mean, obviously, nothing at this stage is played out on paper. Pressure does funny things and stuff. But let's say the most likely results happen and we beat Bologna after Juve have beaten Inter. To move 9 points clear of Inter would have been unthinkable a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
But it just goes to show that we're holding our bottle while others aren't, and especially if Napoli were to drop points too. But I almost would prefer that to be a draw, just because Juve are building up such a head of steam at this point that I think their momentum it'd be nice if their momentum came crashing to a halt at some point. But yeah, it's a big weekend this weekend, massive weekend. And then you look at it after that, you know, we've got Torino and Genoa. So it's like, this is a real chance to get points on the board, widen that gap. And let's say you get 6 points clear with 5 games to go. That equation starts getting smaller and smaller. And every win, it just reduces the chances for the other teams to catch up. But yeah, I'm also pretty confident about this one. I don't think Bologna are going to be pushovers in this game. However, they're 11 points clear of the drop zone, but they're not going to make a European spot. So their race has already kind of been run in that sense. I do think that they have a really talented team, and just for them moving forward, I think what should happen is that Miha should probably step aside at the end of the season and focus on, his health. That would be the most important thing for him. But I also think for Bologna, as sad a way for that to end as it would be good for them if they could go for like a young progressive coach to try and get the best out of that core, because there are some exciting players in there without a doubt, providing they keep it together and don't sell anybody. But yeah, for this game, looking at the fact they've only conceded 3 in their last 5, they're not as all over the place defensively as they were in the first half of the season, but that's come at the expense of scoring goals. I'm going to go for us winning 2-0, and I'm going to go with Giroud and Teo scoring.
I'm going to go with 4-0. We're going to destroy that gap in goal difference between us and Napoli.
Respect. Right, talking points. So I think the main one that we kind of alluded to it. Oh, no, we didn't. That was before we started recording. Italy will not be at the World Cup in Qatar later this year. They lost their World Cup qualifying semi-final, as weird as that sounds, because there is then more than one final to come tomorrow. But, they lost to North Macedonia. 92nd minute goal from Trajkovski. Mad. Pretty mad. But also,
it was their only shot on target.
Yeah. But also, this is Italian football, isn't it? They don't do things comfortably. They don't do things the way that people expect. It seems to either go on a mental run or they get dumped out embarrassingly after winning the Euros, and then to not be at a second consecutive World Cup is pretty bad. Obviously, it's been done to death already on Twitter as this. All the threads from various different people about the systematic failures of Italian football and all the things that need to change, everything that needs overhauling to make sure that Italian football is in the best health and stuff. Obviously, as a Milan podcast, we need to selfishly think, what does this mean for us? Is there something in this where you can perhaps look at certain players within our squad and say this is exactly why Italian football is stagnating a little bit? For example, you've got a player like Matteo Gabbia, who has spent all that time in our Primavera and has come through and got first team experience last season and has played minutes this season. But we signed a kid like Pierre Kalulu from Lyon's academy. He's come in and it hasn't taken much for him to jump above him, in the pecking order. And there are various other examples, spending big on a winger like Leao from France rather than going for perhaps a more accessible domestic option at the time. All the names that we're linked with for the centre-back department are like Sven Botman, even though there's a player within Serie A like Bremer who might in theory be a better fit, even though he's not Italian. You get my drift. Renato Sanchez for the midfield rather than, going for someone who's in and around the Italian national team. Are we as a club like an embodiment of this, like the fact that Serie A is now just completely diversified and it might be at the expense of the national team?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's not just Milan. If you look up the, I guess the percentage of nationalities in Serie A, it's just shy of 70% foreign players. And I think that's about average with most leagues. I think there's a few that, I think Spain tends to have a lot more Spanish players, and that's really it. I know England has a ton of foreign players because they can buy any player they want. Italy's going that same way, and maybe France has a lot of French players. Maybe that would be the only one, Germany. But yeah, I mean, the percentage of foreign players is over 50% by a good margin. And that's just the way it is now. There's money in the game, so you could buy players. You don't have to develop, and at the club level, you need success right away. So it doesn't benefit you to bring up these youth players all the time when, you could just spend $5 million and get the next guy who's proven that he's a good player. I think that's what it comes down to, and then we're not spending enough time developing youth players, and each country is just kind of waiting for their breakthrough youth star to come up, and then, they build the team around them, and that's just the way it is. So, yeah, it is what it is. I mean, I don't have much to say about it. I'm not Italian. Gigio had another howler. He's the reason they conceded, so that was funny.
Yeah. I don't mind. It's a small bit of revenge for the Euros, isn't it? But I'd still rather have a major trophy. It is what it is. But yeah, I think Italian academies have probably been lagging behind for some time now. When you look at the technology that's available and the infrastructure that they're building, particularly in Germany and England, those are the leading academies at the moment, and even Spain seem to be having another potential golden generation with some of the players that they've got coming through, especially in midfield. And Italy is what it is. And yes, an influx of foreign players, it undoubtedly has an effect on the way that Italian talent is viewed and is nurtured. The pool of players that clubs are picking from now is much bigger. And then you look at things like the growth decree, the tax relief scheme that basically gives you a 50% discount on the gross amount if a player comes from abroad and signs for over 2 years. I mean, that is obviously going to have an adverse effect, because we're going to sign a Pierre Kalulu over going for perhaps an equivalent player in Italy because we get a big discount on his salary. So they should see things like that coming without a doubt. But yeah, the market then becomes oversaturated. You're going to have teams like Atalanta, teams like us with vast scouting networks bringing in players from abroad. And when it looks successful, other teams are going to try and copy that, That's not to say that Italian football is in a really bad position either. I think now is just the time for them to say, those old wily veterans that got us to the Euros final and with their experience got us over the line, it's time to now say thanks for your service and probably build around certain core players, with Tonali being one of them, Bastoni, hopefully Calabria at right back, and the forward group. Yeah, the forward group will get better with the return of Chiesa. Then you can throw in Scamacca, Raspadori, like a few players that at least don't have experience of failure on the international stage, whereas Immobile and Belotti, you keep trying that and getting the same outcome. It's the definition of insanity. Just stop doing that. Then the
Fun
midfield.
fact, Balotelli is the most recent World Cup goal scorer for Italy.
I think that was against England as well.
Sure was.
Yeah. So, yeah, he should have been there. He would have dragged them over the line in that game without a doubt. And then the midfield's always going to be in good shape when you're picking from the likes of Barella, Verratti, Jorginho, Tonali. They're going to be fine there if they keep playing the same system. But it's what it is. I do think, all rivalry banter aside and stuff, the World Cup is slightly less colourful with Italy not there, given their history in the competition and stuff like that. But it means that Portugal are probably going to be there. You can't assume that they'll mess up against North Macedonia. And then, see about the others. That it for talking points was the one on.
And that's really it. Pioli won Manager of the Month. Perfect month. Makes sense. Everyone's happy.
Yes, we didn't concede a goal in the month of March.
Yep.
So, pretty good. We only win 1-0. 1-0 to the Milan should probably be the next chant that we go with. Hopefully not like that next week. But yeah, good on Pioli. And that is literally it, isn't it? I don't think there's anything moved forward, really. The Origi thing seems to have slowed down a little bit now. Same old talks about Scamacca and Berardi. It's in that international break phase of the news cycle where they just need to keep putting out reports about the big summer overhaul that we're going to have. So we'll do some questions then and wrap up. Michael Gambino, should Milan allocate the budget for Renato Sanchez towards Jonathan David? Adli, Pobega, Krunic, and Tonali and Benacer could be enough in the midfield.
I mean, I'm not against getting Jonathan David. I think he's a great player. But I do think we need to replace Kessie. Yes, we have two more players coming in, obviously, but Adli's not going to take Kessie's spot. He's going to take Brahim's spot. And Pobega could do that, and he has had a good season at Torino, but with respect to Torino, playing well at a mid-table club is not the same as playing well for a Scudetto contender. So, I think you still get the player.
Yeah. The whole subject of whether Renato Sanchez is an ideal replacement for Kessie, it's its own thing, you know. But we certainly need to numerically replace him, and I think we do need to replace him with a player of guaranteed quality, rather than just presuming that Adley adapts perfectly, rather than just presuming that Pobega is going to come and make that step up. You do need a player of quality. Renato Sanchez would definitely be that. You know, he's been one of the brightest performers since he moved to Lille and got his career kind of back on track after a difficult spell at Bayern Munich with a couple of loans in there as well. You've got to pull the trigger on that if the price is right, because then if the price is right, you're covering yourself for the eventuality that he maybe does pick up a couple of injuries. But yeah, I think the budget's probably there for both. I think the budget's there for Botman and Renato, and then for us to make a splash in attack, whether that's for the wing or whether that's on a centre forward. Remains to be seen, you know. Sky's Pepe Di Stefano said recently that he thinks Milan will make 5 signings this summer, with 1 or 2 of them being free transfers. So, you know, that suggests that that the theories that we all have are stacking up pretty well. But yeah, I don't think that having those players mentioned would be enough. I also wouldn't be against using Krunic in some kind of deal, maybe as a counterpart. We're going to head into next season with Krunic as a 5th choice central midfielder or a 3rd choice attacking midfielder. So really, if he's got anything about him, he's going to want to move and play football somewhere else. I know Pioli loves him, but surely the idea is that Pobega or Adley comes in and is an upgrade on Krunic in that sort of role. So I would say take him off the list and add in someone with a bit more quality, and the midfield's looking even better. Nups asks, feels like Milan have calmed their pressing down and their game is less intense than before. Why do you think Pioli is going with a more calculated approach? So this may or may not stem from a tweet that we put out in Milan Data, basically saying that in total average distance per game covered, you know, out of all the players put together, Milan, I think we cover the 3rd least ground in Serie A, whereas before, like last season, we were always near the top of that. Some people saying it shows a massive drop-off in the energy levels and stuff like that. I think this is the knock-on of the injury crisis that we had earlier in the season. You know, you don't always... You can get through it with the adrenaline. You can push through it when it's very much like us against the world kind of thing. But then when you've got your backups playing starters minutes and your starters need to be gradually reintroduced back to full fitness, all of a sudden your entire squad has got an empty tank or near enough empty. And now what we're seeing is us trying to adapt to that and make sure that we've got enough in us to get over the line, especially with like an 8-game sprint, no more breaks between now and the end of the season. We've just got to try and hammer it home.
Yeah, and that's basically exactly what I think it is too. It's energy conservation. It's not that they don't have the energy anymore. It's we have 8 games left, potentially 10 if you count the cup and we make it to the final. But 8 games for the Scudetto. That's the most important thing right now. We've had too many injuries. We can't risk more injuries. We can't risk more suspensions, cards, anything like that. So in this stretch of games where we're playing kind of lower level teams, we don't need to go all out. You know, we looked well against Napoli. We pushed hard in that game. My dog's trying to open a door. That was weird. He knows how to do that apparently. I just got so sidetracked. We're playing well, and we're playing smart. And you know, people don't like Allegri ball, and I got shit for saying it was Allegri ball, but maybe this proves that it kind of is. So who knows?
Yeah, energy conservation, I think, is a good way of putting it. I mean, we might just be bottling it up, and we're ready to absolutely go for it in these last 8 games. Who knows? But it is a worry that we're not winning games by a bigger margin. We seem to be working smarter rather than harder, though, to me. And I will take those 1-0 wins if we win every game like that between now and the end of the season, because it will get us over the line. But I do understand the concerns that our style seems to have been compromised just a little bit. His follow-up question is, first, Pellegrini, now Lazetic, with slim to no playing time and not contributing. Was it a mistake to let Colombo go out on loan? Not saying he would score 6 goals in Serie A, but would probably be more useful.
No. If Colombo stayed, he'd be in the same spot getting no play time. So I don't think it matters. I think we signed Lazetic to replace Pellegrini because you got to have a third striker, especially when you're 2 or 35 plus. But we're in a Scudetto push. Like, there's no reason to be experimenting with a teenage striker. You play your vets. You play Olivier Giroud, who has won every possible trophy in his career. You play Zlatan Ibrahimovic, who's won everything outside of, a World Cup and a Champions League. Like, you play those winners. You don't put on the 18-year-old who might be good later. You play to win now. This is not the beginning of the season. There's not 38 games left. There's 8 games left. You got to go all out with the people you know are capable. Now's not the time to experiment. Do that over the summer preseason. Do that during the World, or when the World Cup's going on. We're doing that USA tour. Like, you mess with stuff then, not right now.
Yeah, and with a third choice striker, especially somebody young who you don't want to put too much pressure on their shoulders, and this applies sort of across the board with other young players in different roles, they're really only ever going to be suited to certain situations anyway, as you mentioned. And like, we're not in the Europa League anymore. All of a sudden our European games are Champions League games, so you need your first 11 out there for that. We get one game in the Coppa Italia before we're into the quarterfinals, and then the semi-finals and stuff gets serious. So yeah, you really are just down to pre-season games to be trying these players out. And I think we're going to see perhaps more and more of an openness to sending players out on loan at the start of seasons. With the squad list and stuff, you never know how many of the homegrown players are going to stick around and will find a use for them. But for players like Colombo at 19, Daniel Maldini is going to be one of those as well. There's others like Brescianini and Lazetic maybe even is one of them for next season as well, who you look at sending out on loan. If we're well covered in that position, then you get them that playing time so that they can develop and come back a more rounded player. And even if you have to do it like Pobega, where you send them to Serie C, you send them to Serie B, then you give them a couple of loans in Serie A. By the time they come back, they're still only 22. They're not even about to enter their prime years yet. So it's an obvious strategy to send players out on loan and get them a bit of playing time. I think that's how other teams have managed to stay so dominant as well. It's like they've got a production line, a conveyor belt of talent coming in. And even if it doesn't work out for a player like Pobega, let's say we can't find a fit for him, he doesn't look good in any role for us, we will sell him and make a nice amount of money to then go and buy a player who does fit for us. So there's so many benefits to it. Whereas if you keep them around and let them stagnate and they get no minutes, then it's not good for anyone involved. Daniele Dulisa asks, Kalulu has been putting in some top class performances. So at what point should he be considered a full-time starter even beyond this season?
When he does better than Botman next season.
When or if?
Yeah, when or if,
Yeah.
I definitely don't think he's a fourth choice center back anymore. He's absolutely the third choice. Well, right now he's second choice, right? Because Romagnoli is fit.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, he's a starter at the moment. And then next season, when Romagnoli's gone, if he's gone, it sounds like we're going back in with another offer to keep him. When we bring Botman in, he's going to be above Romagnoli. We've already seen that. He's going to be above Gabbia. We're already seeing that. So he's not going to be above Tomori, and he's probably not going to be above Botman if we're spending 30 mil on a player. You're going to start that player. So he's going to be the second guy. But look, he's putting in great performances. We're going to go into 3 competitions next season, 3 top-level competitions with the Champions League. Obviously, another a Scudetto defense run, hopefully, and then another cup run. So Kalulu's going to have game time. We're getting to that point now in the club's history where we're back as a top club, hopefully, fingers crossed. And those clubs don't have starters and backups. They have 2 starting 11s, and they rotate. And that's what you're going to see. So he is going to have plenty of game time next season. Maybe he's not number 2 on the squad sheet, but he's still going to play a lot.
Oh, he is, yeah. We went into this season with 5 centre backs, and all 5 of them have played like multiple games. That's what happens. You pick up injuries. The Kier thing was unfortunate. You've got to hope that we don't get unlucky in losing a starting player for an entire season again. that being said, there'll be plenty of chances, as you mentioned, for players to shuffle in, and Kalulu will be a very valuable resource.
Well, I think Kier going down was a blessing in disguise. I mean, obviously it's shitty for him. You know, no one wants to see an injury, especially a long-term injury. But as he said himself, we were conceding shit goals when he was playing. He's not playing anymore. We're keeping clean sheets. No goals conceded in March. Kalulu's that guy. So, yeah, I think that was a bit beneficial for us. And we're seeing now Kalulu's even better than Kier, who used to be the starter. So, yeah.
I do think Botman will be really good as well. I think him and Tomori will complement each other well, and they'll give us a bit more proficiency in the air. I am still looking forward to seeing him, but the best teams do have backups who can come in and do the job. You know, that's just the way it is. If we had a drop off from Kalulu, Tomori, let's say we didn't sign Botman, to then Kier and Gabia, we'd all be a bit worried, you know. But with 3 competitions that we're going to be fighting in from now onwards, the aim to make it past the Champions League group stages and stuff, you need depth. You need quality depth in all positions. I would go so far as to say you can't even really label players backups with the amount that we've had to swap our 11 around because of injuries, suspensions, COVID, all that stuff. You know, it's like we have 3 starters for the 2 positions, and it's just whatever 2 get in on that given week. But yeah, Kalulu's been fantastic, and the thing for me is that he's 21. So like, what's he going to be like when he's 25? When he's like Tomori's age in 3 years?
Yeah,
you know, that's going to be fantastic. Final question from the Magnifico: who in the squad needs the biggest wake-up slap in order to start putting in good performances? Shout out my man Will Smith.
Ooh, that's a good one. Salamakers. He obviously doesn't respond to coaching instruction. You know, he doesn't have good vision, so maybe a slap will wake him up and he'll see something. I don't know.
Slap some sense into him.
Yeah.
My mind instantly went to Rebic, thinking he's the kind of guy that if you slapped him, he would get really fired up and go on some ridiculous tear. Whereas if you slap Salamakers, he's going to cry. Like that.
That's a good point, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. It's who's going to respond best to it, and it's not going to ruin them. Messias might be like that as well. Brazilian, he might have a bit of Street Fighter in him.
I think that's borderline racist.
Might be, yeah, might be. But just, you know, deliveries and stuff that he's done. He's probably used to abuse because people do tend to abuse delivery drivers. And then I'm thinking like Brahim.
No, Brahim will cry. Brahim will
cry. Think.
Yeah.
Yeah. He'd also have to get on a step ladder to like for normal people to slap him. Yeah, I don't know. That might be it. It's got to be one of the forward players though, without a doubt. But yeah, that was a fun one to end. That's it. Yeah, I've been your host, Ollie Fisher. You can find me on Twitter at Ollie Fisher. AJ.
Yep, Torgid 45 next week. We're going to record, I believe, on Tuesday because we play Monday, so we want to make sure we could get review in there. Oliver won't be here. He's going to be in Paris, so enjoy your fancy little holiday. And Madison should be back, fingers crossed, but you never know. We find out morning of when he doesn't show up, so we'll see what happens. But I'll be here.
You might be on your own next week. I'm actually going to watch PSG next weekend, so I will do some first-hand scouting on Di Maria.
Yeah, throw some tomatoes at Donnarumma.
Yeah, tomatoes.
Yeah, throw them from towards the bench. You're not even interrupting the game.
Yeah. And reminder, as always, if you haven't already, check out SempreMilan.it. More exclusives and transfer market insight stuff dropping by the day. Like, comment, subscribe if you're watching this on YouTube. Really helps the algorithm and stuff. And share our stuff with your friends if you think that they might enjoy it. But yeah, thank you for watching, and we will catch you in a week's time.
Eccolo Ante in area di rigore, Ante, Ibra, gol! Vediamo se è buono, ce lo dà buono.